What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Garrett. I'm a 7-figure Amazon seller showing you guys how you can make a living off Amazon as well. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the topic of Amazon as a seller. What sorts of listings where Amazon is on the product should we be shying away from? And what sorts of opportunities when Amazon is on the listing should we be taking advantage of, because we know we can make a bunch of money in doing so. So that's what's ahead today. Stick around for the video and enjoy. What I really want to go over in today's video is the concept of dealing with Amazon as a seller. And now it's widely kind of accepted that we shouldn't be competing with Amazon. Anytime Amazon's on the listing, we shouldn't be competing with them. Now, that is true, but if you adopt that as a universal principle, as a one-size-fits-all answer to how you operate your business, you may be overlooking a lot of potential opportunities where you can come in and win on a listing. Now, there's a difference between competing with Amazon on a listing as opposed to sharing with Amazon on a listing. Now, we'll go over that difference as we kind of walk through a couple different listings that we're going to jump into my screen for. Now, this first one is what I kind of consider competing with Amazon on a listing. Now, if we were to come onto this listing, this is, just some random Pampers, looks like diapers. We can, it's pretty explicit that this orange area right here, this orange space, signifies that Amazon is on the listing. Now, the big difference across a lot of these listings that we're going to go over today is if Amazon is in the buy box or not, right? This orange space signifies that Amazon is in fact on a particular listing. However, as we'll figure out today, as we'll learn today, when Amazon is on a listing, it doesn't always mean that they are earning and winning the buy box. It's often that way. However, those small opportunities where we see and we deem Amazon to be on the listing and they're sharing the buy box, those are the opportunities that we can exploit and win for and profit some big money on, right? And so this is one of those situations where we see Amazon's completely on the listing 100% of the time, right? We can see it actually in the product details. If we go here, Amazon current, Amazon out of stock, 90 days, 0% of the time, right? So they're in stock all the time, 100% of the time. Now, the real significance of this particular listing, whether we can compete or not, is this screen right here, right? We already know that they're in stock 100% of the time, but what we really want to know is whether they're sharing the buy box. And this screen right here gives detail and itemizes all the sellers in the buy box rotation. If they were to be sharing the buy box, it would be obvious right here, right? But we can see as we scroll through the different thresholds of days, most of the time, right here, 100% of the time, they're winning the buy box. If we span out 90 days, 100% of the time, they are winning the buy box. And 108 of the days, it looks like they shared a small portion. They probably got undercut by a few dollars. But again, they are owning most of the buy box. This is going to be the telltale sign whether we can compete with Amazon, whether we can compete on a listing with Amazon in terms of sharing sales, or whether we can't, right? And so this is an obvious case. Now we'll walk through a couple different scenarios where we can win when Amazon is in fact on a particular listing. Right, this one, as we're just really getting familiar with this keeper graph, it looks a lot different, right? We see the same orange space, right, from mid-February to current time frame. However, the big difference across these two is that in this case, the purple line is in sync with the orange space. However, here, the buy box line, the pink line, purple line, whatever you want to call it, which signifies a current buy box winner at a point in time, is different than when Amazon is listed, right? Amazon's listed in this time frame at 47.52, but a third-party seller is down here at 19.50. Looks like an OA seller, 171 growth. Hey, quick commercial break. I appreciate you guys supporting and following the channel. If you are enjoying this particular video, which I'm assuming you are if you're still watching it to this point, make sure you subscribe to the channel, scroll down, hit that subscribe button. Helps me out, helps the channel out. Let's get back to the content. And they're winning the buy box, right? It switches to Sensation, switches to the Bodega, switches to, there's a rotation going on that Amazon is not part of, right? So if we were to just specifically look at this product and say Amazon's in the product on the listing, we don't want to compete on this listing, we could potentially be missing out, right? Because there's tons and tons of opportunity for us to be selling this product. It sells a bunch of times, right? And if we can buy this for, say, whatever, $4, $5, $6, something like that, there's potential to be winning here. And we can validate that by going into the buy box statistics. And we can see in the past 30 days, Amazon's nowhere to be found. If we span out 90 days, Amazon is still nowhere to be found, right? They are nowhere in the buy box rotation, and there's plenty of OA sellers in the picture. That gives us confidence that if we were to come onto this listing, we wouldn't have to worry about Amazon. We only just have to worry about only other third-party sellers, which we're cool with, right? We're comfortable and familiar and confident in competing with other third-party sellers, right? And so this is one example where Amazon is on a listing, but they don't necessarily play a factor, and we're still confident that we can win sales, right? We'll keep it moving. That's just one opportunity. Now, this one looks a little bit different, again, than both of them that we've already seen. We can kind of span through history here, and much of the time, right, Amazon is on the buy box, right? You could see the notation inside the pink purple buy box that shows the price, and it also shows who's in the buy box, right? And so most of this time, it looks like Amazon is in ownership. However, it starts to get interesting in the most recent time, right? And it probably also coincides with the increase in offers, right? So if we just call it the past 90 days as a sample size, and we start to kind of scroll through here, it does look like Amazon is sharing some buy box sales. Now, to get an idea of in terms of how much they are in fact sharing, because that's what really matters, we're going to go into the data, the buy box statistics, and we can now create metrics and kind of understand how much they are sharing, right? So Amazon still owns 90% of the time. Now, this is where selling on Amazon gets very, very relative, right? And so if a listing sells 100 times and Amazon is owning 90% of the buy box, that means there's approximately 10 sales or 10% of those sales that they're sharing to third-party sellers, right? That's not super interesting. However, in a case like this, where this product is selling 17,000 times, tens of thousands of times, Amazon sharing 10% of those sales is a big difference. Now, granted, as we always talk about, this 17,000 estimated sales goes to all of these listings, not necessarily to this particular variation. So we would need to dive deeper into how many sales this particular variation is getting, and then take 10% of that to know how many of these particular variation sales Amazon is sharing. But again, it's not completely worthy of being written off, right? Amazon's giving up 10% of sales. Looks like they're competing with a couple OA sellers that are winning, some good sales percentages. And this is another opportunity where we could potentially compete and win with Amazon on the listing. We'll keep it moving. Here's another example, right? And now this is one where this is one of the better scenarios, kind of like how we started with. Amazon's in the picture 100% of the time, but you see those two black and white differences between when the buy box is owned by a third-party seller and Amazon's up here, and when it looks like Amazon is owning the buy box. In this case, right, we can validate that in the past 30 days, now it looks like there is a major seller involved, but Amazon's only owning a small percentage of those sales. Now, granted, in this case scenario, this may be something we want to shy away from just because there's one third-party seller that's owning a majority of the buy box, but that also can be because there's just so few sellers in this particular listing, and it's moving a good bit of times, right? And so as we start to work through a lot of these scenarios, it's very obvious that Amazon is not worthy of completely being written off as someone we want to be competing with, right? We don't want to compete with them. However, there are a subset of listings, as we can see here, and this is the case where they just go out of stock, right? The orange space drops, and now it's game on here. You can see the offer count raise a little bit. But there's a difference between Amazon being on a listing and in the buy box as opposed to Amazon being on a listing and not in the buy box. And so that's what really we wanted to illustrate today as we started to work through some of those examples. Hope you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one.